Good morning. Happy Monday. Oh my gosh, can you believe it's January 27th already? The first month of the new year is gone. And the real estate market's really strong. So I'm going to open with a blog post that I read every day. That is very interesting. Yes, this year's zipping by for sure. So I'm going to share real quick this one. Okay, there you go. Pending positive. This is my goal for you guys to be positive going into 2025. And we're going to debate this for a minute. Year over year home price appreciation, according to the Case-Shiller index, was 4.2% in October, down from 4.6%. Oh my goodness. In September and 5.2% in August. It's now been slowing year over year for 7 straight months. Oh my God, doom and gloom, right? Appreciation is returning to its pre-COVID norm. As a result of slowing appreciation, buyers are adjusting to higher mortgage rates and slowly improving inventories. Pending sales, while still very weak, have been up. Oh, pending sales, while still very weak, have been up year over year for the last 3 months. Okay, so I love the news. No, really, I hate the news because you have to interpret the news. Okay, so let's think about home ownership versus renting for a minute, right? And this is what I hope would be something that would inspire you to post something about this topic, right? So is this good news or bad news? Depends on how you look at it. So let's put this into real perspective. People that are renting are getting what? A place to live. And whose mortgage are they paying off? The landlord. So their payment is going to the landlord who's hopefully, covering his mortgage. And that's about it. But a homeowner uses leverage to buy their real estate. So let's say you buy a $500,000 house for easy math, and you put 20% down. That's $100,000. So $100,000 down, and then the house, the $500,000 house, goes up at 4% a year. 4% of 500,000 is $20,000, roughly. So you made $20,000 on your $500,000 investment. No, you made $20,000 on your $100,000 investment. People forget that. So part of your message, or my hope is your message, is to share that news, right? That's a 20% return. If you can make $20,000 on a $100,000 investment, that's a pretty damn good deal. Not to mention the fact that you're going to get tax deductions on the other stuff you're going to get, right? So spread that word, please, while you're in the marketplace and sending your post today, because people don't really pay attention to the fact that the home price goes up 4%, but your equity goes up 20%, because that's all the cash you use to buy the house. Anyway, that was my first thought when you read this, because it says, oh my God, they're so bad, 4.2%. It's all that's gone up. It's 4.2% of a 20% down payment. So don't take the news as literal as it's meant to be. Sorry. Oh my gosh, what am I doing? Oh, there it is. Sorry. Okay. So that was topic number one. Number two, we're going to talk about, this is real life real estate, right? Here is a prediction of what's going to happen. And I'm starting to say it right now because questions are coming across. Let's take a homeowner who bought a house last year for $800,000 and it flooded. And their building value is less than 50%. Yeah, hopefully about the sex. And their building value is less than 50%. So they can't rebuild the home. They have a $700,000 mortgage, and it's going to cost $1 million to rebuild a home. They can't qualify for $1 million loan in addition to their $700,000 loan they currently have. So what's that going to do? And many of you have never been in this situation before. They're going to have to sell the house to pay off the mortgage, but the mortgage might be worth more than the house is worth. So what's that going to create? Go back to 2008, please, if some of you were here in 2008. Come on, put in the chat. What happened in 2008? Henry said it. Short sales. We're heading back to short sales right now and foreclosures. Yep. And some of us have never dealt with this before. So there's a question in my inbox right now. Which is here somewhere. Give me a second. Okay. Question for you, see below from Samantha. Good evening. We have a buyer that's placing an offer on a short sale property. I was adding the short sale addendum in .loop and noticed it was regarding lender approval. What, if any, addendum is needed for a cash buyer placing an offer on a short sale property? Okay, so let's have this conversation right now because many of you don't know this, but a short sale is not a legitimate sale. It is a subject to sale. Subject to what? Subject to lender approval, right? So theoretically, I don't know what app means, Kathleen, but I'm going to cover your email in a minute too. It's subject to lender approval. And who's to say that the lender is going to approve anything? So hypothetically, I've got $1 million house and I get a $500,000 offer. Is the lender forced to accept that offer? Nope. So it's going to be subject to lender approval. And that's what your short sale addendum, which I can go into .loop and show you if you want to, but I think for right now, let's just stick with what we're dealing with, right? You're gonna start seeing short sales coming up in your marketplace. And a short sale is simply a subject to the bank's approval of a loan. Now, some banks are legitimately understanding the situation they're in. Some are not. But let's talk about this too. You're not dealing with a bank. You're dealing with a servicer. So the banks sell their loans to a servicing company, and the servicing company is under charter to protect the bank's assets. So they're going to negotiate to make it as long to get the best deal they can. So there's no necessarily a special deal on a short sale because there's a servicer who's negotiating to make sure the lender gets paid what they want to get paid. All right. So as we go forward, you're going to be dealing with a short sale addendum, which will be subject to the lender's approval. And guess what? I think Kathleen just put in the chat. It's a long process, guys. Sorry. Oh my gosh, look at all the chats. short sales, strategic walkaways. That's going to happen too, right? And that will become a foreclosure. What are you doing there, puppy? So a foreclosure is different. Once the home is foreclosed on, then the servicer owns that loan and they can make a decision. But in the process, before that happens, the short sale is still owned by the owner, but it's controlled by the lender. Sorry, I'm reading my chats here. It's a long process, yes. If that was our listing, is the seller able to accept additional offers? Yeah, you have to accept all offers. Mike said I purchased a home in 2007 with a $100,000 deposit and had to sell the home for the mortgage in 2011. Yeah, sometimes those things happen. Maritza said my first home was a short sale. It took 9 months to buy. Dixie. Carla said it perfectly. The owner signs the paperwork, but the servicer decides what's going to happen. Okay, so a lot of you have not been in the real estate market since this thing happened, but you're going to start seeing it happen now. So we need to be prepared for short sales. Okay. All right, I'm going to bring up another event. We're seeing still a ton of these. Oh my gosh, you guys are chatting like crazy. It's difficult for sellers with constant updates. They need an attorney to work with the bank. Yeah, many times they do. Kalani said, my first home in Mirror Bay back in was a short sale. It didn't take super long and it was totally worth it. Oh my God. Yeah, there's a huge opportunity in buying these short sales if a seller lender will accept the price. But understand there's no guarantee. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. Patience works 100%. Yep, we're back to the days of foreclosure defense attorneys. And I will introduce you to, we'll probably have him on class one of these days in the near future. Tom Abraham is a really good friend of ours who did a lot of work with us. I mean, we probably did 3,000 or 4,000 short sales with him. So it was a big deal and he's super good at what he does. So super cool. All right. So we were talking about carryback offers. Stop it. You're going to get, Tom Abraham is amazing. Yes, thank you. Carryback offers are becoming more prevalent in the marketplace. There's lots of buyers submitting offers saying, hey, I'll give your seller their equity and I'll take over their mortgage. And I promise that I'll make their payments for them for the remaining duration of their loan. Okay, that's bullshit, number one, because they will walk away in a heartbeat because they've got nothing to give. So when you get those carryback email offers, you have a duty to present them. You do. But you need to tell them to have an attorney review it. The answer is no. Yes, Kathleen, thank you. The answer is no, but we can't tell them that because we can't give legal advice. So I just want to put that there too. Okay. I gave you my short sale predictions. I'm going to give you, Kathleen sent me something, and I'm going to share that now. Where's my Zoom? It's true. Share my screen. Share. Okay. So Kathleen gave me this. There are just, oh God, people just text all the time. It drives me crazy. Okay, question number one. I have a seller who wants to list a condo and he has a tenant on a lease for 9 months. The condo docs have a 2-year owner restriction on leasing. Condo board says when the condo sells, the tenant has to leave. There's, what's his name? Macaulay Culkin or whatever it is. Um, this is real life real estate, right? I have a seller who wants to list a condo and they have a tenant on lease for 9 months. The condo docs have a 2-year owner restriction on leasing. Condo board says when the condo sells, the tenant has to leave. What? How do you handle that? The answer is, and this is Catalina. Yes, a condo association in Florida can deny a rental to a new owner if the association's governing documents give the authority to do so. Wow. So a owner of a condo that has rental restrictions can control the sale of that unit. How about that? And then she went after this case and said, however, the case ended up at the Florida Supreme Court, which, by the way, probably takes 5 or 6 years. Which resulted in leaving the investment group with a condominium that they could no longer rent as they intended. After that case, the Florida legislature amended the law. The act now provides that an amendment limiting an owner's right to rent a unit applies only to unit owners who consent to the amendment and unit owners who acquire title after the effective date of the amendment. This is stuff you don't want to get into, but this is where you tell your seller to hire an attorney. The Condominium Act does not merely address rental limitations. It also provides that condominium associations may charge a fee approval of leases or sales, estoppel letters, as long as they are. Okay, question 2. What is an estoppel letter and who orders it and what does that mean? It's funny, we all went to real estate school, right? Nobody teaches you how to sell real estate in real estate school. They teach you how to pass the real estate test, right? So an estoppel is a legal document that puts people on notice on what their responsibilities are. So when someone buys a condominium, the buyer inherits liability for the assessments unpaid by the previous owner and those coming due after the buyer becomes the owner. To avoid surprises, buyers request condominium associations provide a letter confirming the status of the assessments. That's called the estoppel letter. So it says, hey, that's why we have a title insurance company that says, hey, association, are there any problems associated with this property that we need to address? And if the estoppel comes back and says, no, you're good. If the estoppel comes back and says, yes, there's 5 years worth of back owed fees, well, that needs to be addressed, right? So those letters are known as estoppel letters. And purchasing a unit within a community association, HOA or COA for that matter, it's not enough to simply call the association, ask for verbal confirmation. Ooh, verbal confirmation regarding the purchase. Title settlement agent, in our case Paramount, requests an estoppel letter that is certified by the association to confirm if there are any, and it goes through a list of 9 things, right? Additional associations, current violations, upcoming fees. I mean, you could actually have a property that has parking violations that are outstanding that were not paid by the current owner. But those association violations are still due and payable to the association. So if you don't get an estoppel letter at the time of closing that says that it's been taken care of, then there's a problem, which is why we have a title company, right? Ooh, this is a good one. I have a buyer who has a trust and wants to make sure he can title the property into the trust's name. I'm using a FAR-BAR contract. What box do I check for assignability and what kind of deed and why? This becomes a very big issue because the question is, I just did this myself. I transferred my real estate into a trust and I did it via a quitclaim deed, which technically could violate my title insurance. But I didn't know that because my attorney didn't tell me. I should have probably transferred my real estate into my trust by a warranty deed, but that would require what? Payment of doc stamps. So take $1 million house at 70 cents per thousand, that's $7,000 it would have cost me to transfer my real estate into my trust. So I could avoid that by doing a $10 quitclaim deed, but I just sacrificed my title insurance. So back to this question, check the box assignable but not released, and make sure to select statutory warranty deed. Right? There's nothing wrong, guys. There's nothing wrong with assignable contracts, right? As long as you understand that there's a risk that they're assigning the rights to somebody else. So you just want to make sure that if you assign a contract, you know who they're assigning it to, and they're not released from liability. I mean, I bought a lot of real estate myself, and I buy it and/or signs. And then I have no obligation to close because the listing agent didn't know what they were doing. So I could assign it to somebody and be released from liability. You don't want to do that part. So answer, check the box assignable but not released, and make sure to select statutory warranty deed or a general warranty deed. Either one's fine. All right, question 3. I'm curious, what is a revocable versus an irrevocable trust? Ooh, things we don't think about, right? In a nutshell, irrevocable trust has asset protection, tax advantages, estate planning, reducing the grantor's taxable estate, deferring capital gain taxes, minimizing estate taxes at the federal level, and preserving assets and providing financial security. So that's an irrevocable trust. You can't change it. Irrevocable, right? Revocable trusts have no tax benefits. The assets bypass probate. That's the reason they do it. And revenue is taxed at a lower rate for revocable trust assets than irrevocable trust assets. You may avoid or minimize estate taxes. So once again, we're not practicing law in any way, shape, or form, but there's a lot of reasons to put your property into a trust. And there's 2 types of trust. There's irrevocable and revocable trust. And either one of those could be the right decision based on their individual situation. So just know that as you're advising your consumers. Okay, the last thing I have for today is, hold on, back. Short sale addendum we covered, contract fraud we covered. We covered the letter of intent with those bullshit cash offers. Good. Okay, last thing I've got today is I wanted to bring up again, and I hate to do it over and over and over again, but it seems like it's necessary. FF and GG are 2 addendums you really, really, really need to understand, right? Because they're going to be part of your contract negotiation ability. And okay, so the last thing I have is Stellar MLS. If you guys are part of the Tampa or the Pro board, or Orlando for that matter, your logins are going to change tomorrow. So you've got to go through, they've sent you emails, read them. You need to update your passwords and usernames, and the logins are going to be different. It'll be better in the long run because we'll just have one single login. You can do whatever you want to do, but you need to pay attention because you won't be able to access your MLS tomorrow unless you do the updates that need to be done. Okay. Well, that's all I've got for you today, people. Happy Monday, January 27th. My camera's over my calendar. So that's what we got. Let's look at the chat real quick. Mike, how do you sell a home that has a foreclosure lis pendens on file to the court? You can't. That foreclosure is going to have to process because there's no clear title that's going to pass. Yes, title orders the statement of the HOA condition, and the HOA would say, for example, I just had really tragic. one of my neighbors' homes burnt down. I mean, it was bad. Fire was everywhere. The whole roof is destroyed. The firemen were here for 6 hours. They were just blowing foam and water, and I had no water. I'm not complaining. No water pressure. I mean, they just sucked every bit of water out to drain this house. So that house is going to do what now? It's going to be, they're probably not going to pay their HOA dues. They're probably not going to pay their mortgage payment. They're probably, it's going to have all kinds of problems. And they've got no place to live. I mean, it's just a shitty situation. So if you sell a home that has a foreclosure on file, it's subject to the court. So that's all I can tell you. Jennifer, why would one choose one over the other? Once again, we don't give legal advice, so I can't answer that question. I've got a client who got a tax notice on vacant land. She has paid all the taxes. It looks like someone is trying to transfer the land into that. That is a major problem. Vacant land is huge with fraud right now. Absolutely huge, because people can just go in and do what they want to do. The stellar update. Yes. So tomorrow, the 28th, Stellar is updating their access. So you're going to have to log in and change your username and password or not. But just read their emails and you'll be fine. Okay. Happy Monday.